Hey everybody, this is Blue, and today I'm going to show you guys our updated Duke Devlin deck profile. So this deck is based on the virtual world for a good friend Duke Devlin, because that was where we really saw him duel the most. First time we see him duel is his introduction, although he does just open a bunch of Pharaoh Servant packs, build the deck, and then beat Joey. So we really, our very first version of Duke's deck included those cards just out of a lack of resources. And that was also pre-Orgoth, so we ran a Buster Blader, even though it's not something he played. It was a big, beefy sword guy that we felt was comparable to Orgoth, although really just didn't feel the same. Konami has now printed several of his cards that we see used in Virtual World, and then later on in Grand Championship. But we are calling this as Virtual World deck, although it will comprise cards from a variety of places. But it's not enough that we feel it's a real hybrid or collective or ultimate deck. But yeah, so Duke is just always been a fan favorite character. He can be very cool, very suave. His introduction character is, of course, he's kind of a D-bag, but ends up being a really cool character with the rest of the group. So let me show you guys his deck. I think a lot of you guys that are fans of Duke will like how we've changed up the deck. So first up is 2 copies of Battle Ox, followed by 3 copies of Dark Assailant. So it ended up being, cool to see that some of the cards that Duke played were based on the Dungeon Dice monsters he used, and then, some of the cards we have are just because they were dice monsters that he used. A little bit of a shame that I think Dungeon Dice monsters didn't really come back much aside from its debut to introduce the character, which I mean it's okay, but it would have been fun if maybe that came back a little bit later in a more, its own way. So 2 Ryukishin, 3 of the 13th Grave. So Duke's deck has, quite a few vanillas, not a lot of super powered vanillas either. He's not rocking a Force Raider or something. But it does give him monsters he can put down. His real strength comes from his boss monster. I mean, you guys know what it is. So 3 Uranzo. I always thought this was cool. I don't know, little zombie coming out of the chest. Don't ask me why. All right, and now for the piece de resistance is, of course, Orgoth the Relentless. Was amazing when they finally printed this card, because this is what really makes Duke's deck Duke's deck. And yes, you may be quick to notice that we have errata stickers on this. I know some of you, may not find that ideal, but we did a lot of testing with the deck, and Orgoth really didn't have much of an effect in the anime, other than you could special summon it with Dimension Dice if Dice Dungeon were on the field, and those cards kind of all do that anyway. So Orgoth was effectively a vanilla in the anime, and then they dropped a couple really good effects on him that all, of course, involved die roll. And as much as we love the effects, we love that they made the card actually, have more value than just what it was in the anime. We did play testing, and the whole effects that all the cards have, were really just a lot for a character deck. So we did go with an errata for Orgoth, just so that the deck played a little bit more like his deck did in the anime, and like a lot of the anime decks do. So it's awesome that they super powered Orgoth for like a more modern meta, but for the character deck meta that you guys have seen us do, and you kind of understand, like, realistically how low on the tier like the character decks kind of tend to perform. TCG Orgoth was just really, really OP. So we made a couple changes to that, just so that the deck would play better. But still, it's amazing that we have Orgoth. And then, of course, to back it up, his last monster is Strike Ninja. So despite Orgoth like really being his main, like his version of Dark Magician or Blue Eyes, Strike Ninja was his deck master. And again, so this being a virtual world deck means we have his deck master here, but we don't play with deck master effects. So what we do is incorporate other cards into the deck that mimic the deck master effect. So you will see those cards later in the video. Some of the deck masters ended up just having their own effects printed on, but Strike Ninja is not one of those. Strike Ninja's deck master effect is a whole different thing. So moving on is, of course, 3 copies of Dice Dungeon. We just left this one the way it was. Even, it is actually really close to the anime effect with all the effects that it has. And real quickly, so we picked up all of the new Duke dice cards from TCG Player. It's where we do most of our shopping for cards for our character decks. We are a TCG Player affiliate, so you can check out the link in our description of this video and all of our videos. So if you go to buy cards too, like you want to pick up the new dice cards for your own Duke deck, do it through our link. It gives us a little bit of a kickback that we use to then put back into more cards for more decks. So just that little quick throw in there. But yeah, Dice Dungeon, followed by Dimension Dice. Okay, yes, errata sticker again. Sorry guys, if you want to see these cards really just kind of pop off from the deck. Konami threw in extra effects, like I said, make the cards much more viable. And I'm not saying they're going to be like tier 1 meta decks, but it gives it a little bit more at your locals or playing with some other modern decks really outside of our character deck meta, which is again very low. Like 2003, 2004, you were building decks with your friends in middle school. So we did errata these again, and you can always find our errata definitions in the errata document in this video, all of our videos. There's a public version that you guys can see. So if you end up with a link where you have to request access, let us know, because that's not the one that should be in the video. The one that we're supposed to be putting in the video is the public one, which is just free to view. We have an internal one that sometimes we get people who want to see that one, and it's just it's the private one. So we always make those available so that you can follow along instead of us just saying, yeah, we don't play with what's on the card. Well, what do we play with? Again, that's documented in there. All right, 3 Dimension Hole, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Pot of Greed, 3 Summon Dice, and that rounds out his spell lineup. So 2 copies of Dice Reroll, 3 copies of Mystical Ref Panel. So here it is. This is not a card that Duke played. It is not a dice-themed card. There is really no good card that mimics Strike Ninja's Deckmaster effect, which was that he can activate a set card on the field as if it was his own, which he uses to use Tristan's set card as his own. Mystical Ref Panel, though, it's not too far from. It lets you use an opponent's card effect as your own if it's a certain type of card. So this is meant to be as close as we feel we can get to his Deckmaster effect, and that's what this card is for us. So that's why it is in Duke's deck, because it gets that benefit to him. And the last card is 2 copies of Negate Attack, just to give him a little extra defense. So if he's down, he can buy himself a turn. So this is our redone, updated with finally Orgoth and the other cards. Our virtual world Duke Devlin deck. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed already, subscribe so you can see more of how we build our classic style character decks.
Thanks as always for watching.
And if you like this, we have over 100 different character decks on our channel. So check those out for some more awesome content.
And so you don't miss any content, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell.